I want to talk about the king of drones, and I think it's gonna be a really special video. And hang on, it's travel sized. Okay, that's better. Now this is the Inspire 3, and I do have to say it is quite amazing, and I even do claim it is the king of drones. Well, why do I do that? Now I know it doesn't have the best image quality you can have in the game. I'm sure you can take an Freefly Alta X and you can put an Alexa 35 on it. You can send it up in the air and you will have an objectively better image. But that's gonna cost you 2, 3, 4 times as much, not even counting for the Alexa 35 camera. And it's gonna be so much harder to do. This one, we can set up in 2 minutes and we're off flying. And with this camera, you get the same camera that you used on Adolescence, you know, the new hit show on Netflix. It's not just a step up in quality, it's an incredible step up in complexity. And that's why I claim the Inspire 3 is really the king of drones. And it goes without mention, the ground-based version of this camera, so the DJI Ronin 4D, has been used in hit movies like the upcoming F1 movie, Adolescence, as I mentioned before. It is quite the amazing cinema package, and it is good enough for Hollywood, so it's good enough for us. So the fact that we in 2025 can get such an amazing package flying in the air is quite incredible. Now, why am I revisiting the Inspire 3 2 years after release? People still ask us why we haven't updated our drone yet. We've had it for 2 years, isn't it time? And I'm simply here to tell you that there's no reason to. There's nothing to upgrade to. The specs for this thing is also quite amazing. You get 8K 60 FPS, you can shoot ProRes RAW, Cinema DNG, ProRes 422 HQ, and even H.264 if you have a longer project where the file size should be as small as possible. I'm also going to mention the ROI on this machine. We spent around $30,000 on this, which sounds like an insane amount, but in just 2 years of ownership, we have earned it back over 3 times. You see, because we can charge around $1,500 to $3,500 per day just flying this machine, and it's so easy for us, we just show up, we have the batteries charged, and that's it. There's no other setup, there's no managing a camera, it just works. So for us here at Gecko Air, the Inspire 3 has been the real breadwinner. And it really is the most joy to use, and even if we get a job flying FPV, I honestly am happy when we get the jobs flying the Inspire. Just because it's so easy and it really gives you the amazing pictures. Additionally for us, it's been great because the clients really love this drone. First of all, it looks really professional and we look really well assembled when we show up, and we just have this small box and some accessories, and we still show up with such an amazing drone. Normally, we might otherwise come with a whole van filled with stuff just to fly one drone, and the setup is a couple of hours we need to test. In this one, again, as I mentioned, 2 minutes and 10 minutes of testing, and we're ready to fly. And it has been so well appreciated by our clients. So just to give you an example, the first job we had with this drone, we used it for 3 days and we could send off an invoice of around 10,000 euro. Of course, that doesn't account for our time, but still, we still felt like the drone was a third of the way paid off from one job. Since then, we've been on countless other jobs, and it's always been the same reflections from the clients. They have loved this drone and they have loved the solutions we come up with. So for us, it's absolutely priceless. And even if we were offered it, we would not switch over to the Alta X and some big cinema camera package. We would stick with the Inspire 3. Of course, it goes without mention, this drone uses a dual operator mode. You can also fly it single operator, but I wouldn't recommend it. This lets the gimbal operator really trust the shot and not really worry that much about where the drone is going, because of course he has a drone operator. Just look at this shot a couple of weeks back at an ice racing event. We used a 75mm lens here and the tracking was absolutely phenomenal. We could keep up with the cars, of course, because they were on ice, but the drone also goes up to 95 kilometers an hour, which is more than quick enough to follow most sports in a drone perspective. Now the lenses also covers almost the whole focal length that you would need. You have 18, 24, 35, 50 and 75. Additionally, you can also step down the sensor into Super 35 mode. So that means on the 75 you get around the 135 if you really stretch it. With the 50 you get an 85, etc. And it does look optically the same, let's not get into this discussion. However, you can only shoot in 4K in the Super 35 mode. Flying the Inspire 3 is quite magical actually. Because you have this disconnection between what the gimbal, as in what the camera is doing, and where the drone is flying, you can have a lot more response, and you don't have to have that typical smoothing you otherwise find with DJI drones. Now, this makes such a difference when you're flying somewhere where you have to be in proximity to stuff, because you get that instant feedback when you move the sticks. I'm actually more comfortable flying the Inspire 3 than I am any other drone from DJI, except for FPV drones. And that is simply because it responds so much faster to what you want to do. And for sure you can feel the inertia, but the inertia is always going to be the same no matter where you're flying. Which in contrast to some other drones, like for example the Alta or maybe the DJI M600, they are very big birds, and flying them is more like you're working against the drone instead of the drone working with you. So after I've flown the M600 for a day, or maybe the Freefly Alta, I'm very beaten in my head. It's not at all like flying an FPV drone, but it is a lot closer than flying a typical Mavic 3 or whatever like that. Let's answer the big question. Is the Inspire 3 still the best drone you can get in 2025? I would definitely say yes to that, 100%. But you also have to think about your individual use case. I sometimes work as a professional drone pilot, and I fly for big clients where there's big money. They expect the best quality, and unless you're again willing to go with an Alta X using an Alexa 35, you're not really getting better quality than the Inspire 3. But if you're a solo shooter, you're just doing your own thing, maybe you work in smaller teams and you're primarily a DP, there isn't really any reason for you to spend the money on an Inspire. Renting out a team can cost significantly less, and you're probably not going to recoup the cost of $30,000 on this Inspire. With that said, drones nowadays are so damn good. Like even a Mini 4 Pro, a Mavic 3 Pro, or many other models are so good nowadays, they fly so good. And if you're just flying by yourself, it really is the best solution. Now, the battery life is claimed to be 28 minutes, but honestly, we often end up around 20 to 25 minutes. Not because you cannot hit those 28 minutes, but the batteries really suffer if you push them too far. So we generally try and start landing around 30%, and we end up landing at maybe 25 to 20% of battery life. If you push them more than that, the batteries are going to start aging a lot faster. For us, we've had these batteries for 2 years now. They each have around 50 cycles, and we haven't noticed any degradation. We're expecting around 100 cycles from the batteries, which doesn't sound like that much, but we have 5 packs, so that's around 500 flights for the drone, which, considering one new battery is around €350, for one set it's 700, so a full set would go around €4,000, but we have earned back 10, 20, 30 times that amount in that amount of time. So it does suck to buy new batteries after only 100 cycles, but it's not really that bad if you're using this drone in a professional sense. And by the way, the B angle, so the one you're looking at right now, that's actually shot using the Inspire 3. Now, when it comes to the downsides of the Inspire 3, I really only do see 2 things. First of all is the speed. And yes, it can go up to 95 km an hour, which is more than enough for most and everything that you need. But sometimes I do wish it could go a little bit faster. I do have to say it is still plenty fast enough. Secondly, the battery system is okay, but the batteries are really expensive. They're around €350 a piece. You need 2 of them to get 1 flight, and they use around 80 watt hours to charge. So even if you bring a mobile power bank of, let's say, 1000 watt hours, so 1 kilowatt, you can still only get a couple of flights out of that. So without access to land power, we actually do need to bring a lot of extra power to be able to fly a whole day. So on a good day, if we plan to fly the whole day, we can use about 20 packs. We have 5 packs of flights, so we need to charge each battery 4 times. Now this will take around 3 kilowatts of energy, which we do have, but we need to bring 3 extra batteries to do that. And something that really works for me is the case. You see, it's a simple roller case. It kind of looks like a travel bag, but it's a hard shell case and you can even fly with it. So last year I went to Spain to shoot a music video for Ghana. I only brought the Inspire 3, so I had 1 case and I had 1 extra bag for some small accessories, and that's it. I flew alone, and then the DP piloted the drone with me. And for that I could charge €3,500 per day, plus travel days, which was quite amazing to just show up with 1 bag. So it isn't really like DJI to give you the whole kit when you buy an Inspire 3. And sure, you have to buy some extra batteries, you have to buy some extra lenses, but all in all they do give you a complete package, which you can have in just 1 bag. DJI released the first Inspire around 2014, and it was a good drone for sure, and also being able to swap lenses was quite revolutionary on a drone. but it was prohibitively expensive at like 1,500 euro back then, which was an enormous amount of money for a drone. And also the quality wasn't really up to snuff. A couple of years later, DJI unveiled the Inspire 2. This one was quite revolutionary. The price was really high and they didn't really take hold. The major problem they had was the Inspire 2 was too expensive for the average drone hobbyist, and it wasn't good enough for the real professional film crews. The Inspire 2 reigned supreme for a couple of years, until 2 years ago. DJI released the Inspire 3, which was quite amazing. As I've noted before, 8K full frame, 60 FPS, etc. But most importantly, the quality was good enough to replace all of the other more expensive Hollywood drones. And that, in my opinion, was quite amazing actually. But most productions only want us to deliver in 4K anyway. Even though they appreciate the ability to deliver in 8K, usually the file sizes are too big, so they just want a 4K ProRes RAW or Cinema DNG file. Now my personal favorite lens is for sure the 75mm. The background compression you get on that lens, together with the absolute stability you can expect for Inspire 3, it's just amazing footage, as you can see here, and especially this clip. My least favorite lens by far is the 18mm. We did get it with the drone, so we haven't spent any money on it, but we have never used it on a production. Literally never came out of the box for a paid production. That is probably because it's simply too wide and it maybe even kind of looks like a GoPro. The quality is great, of course, but most serious productions, you know, you're shooting something more than you're shooting somewhere. We were at Slovakia Ring, filming for a brand that does track days in old Formula cars. We were filming Formula Renault cars. These are cars that are around 200 horsepower and they're quite small. They're a stepper series into the Formula 1 series. However, don't let those small horsepower numbers fool you. They have some serious force in the corners. But the Inspire was actually able to keep up with them in the corners. Of course, on the straight, you know, the Inspire can do around 90 kilometers an hour. These cars did over 200. But we could cut over the track and then get really nice shots going through the corners. It was actually quite amazing. One thing that we didn't expect is that the drone is actually pretty quiet. It isn't a quiet drone by any means. It isn't a little mini DJI Mini 3 Pro, whatever. But it is more quiet than you would expect. Like, for example, when we were on set inside the city, we were expecting everyone to show up and look at this drone. The sound that the drone makes is kind of a low frequency hum instead of the high-pitched FPV sounds maybe you're used to. So I'm gonna repeat myself once again. This drone just makes flying a cinema quality camera so much easier, and I would not swap it for any other drone in the whole world. You could offer me a Alta X with an Alexa 35. I would probably say, no thank you, I don't want that headache. That's actually a lie, I would probably say yes, but... Okay. Oh, I think I'm done.
Alright, if you said anything that you wanted to say?
Yeah, there is of course a lot more, but you know, I want to be in the city and stuff, and...
Yeah.
I just want to... Yeah, you can stop recording. Were you on the fence about getting an Inspire 3, or were you just a little bit curious about the King of the Skies? Drop a comment down below. Please like the video, it does help out a lot with the algorithm. If you want to see anything more from me, please hit the subscribe button and I'll see you next time.